The room of requirement was hushed except for a faint rustling, like wings brushing against wood. Draco Malfoy stood before the towering Vanishing Cabinet, wand raised, jaw set. His palms were damp, though he told himself it was only from the heat of the firelight flickering nearby. "Reparo," he said firmly, running the tip of his wand along a jagged crack in the cabinet's frame. The splintered wood knit itself together, but the air still quivered with instability, like a harp string plucked off key. He scowled. Wood was simple. Wood could be mended, but this was older, trickier magic, a bridge between places, a hidden doorway. On the shelf nearby, a birdcage trembled. The finch inside let out a nervous chirp. Draco lifted it with care he didn't usually afford, and after a moment's hesitation, he opened the cabinet door and slipped the cage inside. The door clicked shut. For a few heartbeats, silence. Then came a muffled crack, a sound like glass shattering in another room. The bird returned in a blur of light and feathers, but its song was strangled, its wings trembling. Draco swore under his breath and pulled it free. Not yet, but closer. He set the bird down and leaned against the cabinet. His mind ran back to Montague, pale and shaking when he'd been found lodged between floors the year before. The boy had mumbled about endless corridors, about being lost between here and there. That memory haunted Draco as much as it guided him. If Montague had survived half-broken magic, then Draco would perfect it. He had to. His life, his family's lives depended on it. He pressed his wand to the cabinet again, whispering incantations he had coaxed from ancient books, spells of alignment and binding, charms to mend rifts too fine for the eyes to see. The wood seemed to breathe beneath his hand. At last, when he tried again, the finch vanished cleanly, without a cry. For several long minutes, Draco waited. The room seemed to hold its breath with him. Then, fluttering at the window, a small bird returned alive, whole, singing as though nothing had happened. The fire in the room of requirement had long burned low, leaving Draco alone with the flicker of wand light and the faint ticking of the vanishing cabinet. It had a way of making sounds like a clock, steady and patient, as though mocking how long it had taken him to master it. The finches were no longer enough. He knew it. They sang when they returned now, unharmed and bright-eyed. But birds were light things, barely tethered to the earth. Humans were heavier. Humans had souls. His stomach tightened at the thought. If he was wrong, there wouldn't be feathers and song. There would be silence. A knock broke into his thoughts. 2 quick taps, the signal he'd arranged. Draco opened the cabinet door and stepped back. From inside, a voice hissed, "Malfoy." It was Travers, his pale face emerging from the shadows as though painted onto the cabinet's interior. Draco swallowed. "Step through. Let's see if it holds." For a long moment, Travers looked at him with something like disgust. The boy he saw was too thin, with dark smudges under his eyes, and a hand trembling, just slightly on his wand. But finally, Travers obeyed. He stepped forward and vanished. The cabinet groaned, a sound like a ship straining against storm waves. Its wood shook violently, and Draco's heart leapt into his throat. He gripped the edge, whispering every charm he could remember, every stabilizing spell. Then, thud. A man tumbled out onto the floor, coughing, pale but whole. Travers scrambled up, brushing dust from his cloak. His lip curled. "It works, at last." Draco tried to smirk, but his hands were still shaking. He managed only a stiff nod. "Tell him," Travers muttered darkly, and disappeared back inside. The door closed with a soft click, leaving Draco staring at his reflection in the polished black surface of the wood. It worked. He had done it. Draco allowed himself the smallest of smiles. The cabinet was ready, and for the first time, the boy who so often dreamed of glory found no triumphant success, only the heavy certainty of what he had just invited into Hogwarts.